Beglinger. As a Swiss ambassador, I'm of course very pleased by the fact that such an association exists and that you have this passion and commitment for watches because as Mr. President just said before, of course, Switzerland is so to say the homeland of watches. There is hardly any other product that is more associated with Switzerland than watches, and which stands for virtues that are normally associated with Switzerland, inter alia precision, reliability, quality and innovation. And of course the watch industry, you are certainly aware of that, is a major pillar. It still is a major pillar, has been a major pillar of the Swiss export industry. And it's of course also a pillar, a major element of Swiss reputation. We had this week, we organized the Swiss Innovation Day here in Warsaw with Polish partners. And the Swiss Secretary of State in charge of research and innovation, he said, well, what is innovation? And it's not about just inventing something new. That's not sufficient. It's about developing products or services that meet the needs of the people and have success on the market. Because without such a success, you may not have, in the economic sense, innovation. Now, coming back to watch industry, Switzerland did not invent the watch, obviously. It was invented well before the Middle Ages, but I think what the Swiss did, the Swiss watchmakers, they combined craftsmanship, technical innovation, and also commercial skills to create an industry where Switzerland is a world leader. Of course, this took centuries, and of course, as I always say, also with respect to other branches, immigrants played a major role in that. The Swiss economy, or Switzerland as a country, would not have been so successful had it not been for the immigrants that have contributed over centuries to our success. And the watch industry is a major example. So we took in the 16th and 17th century refugees from France that were kicked out, so to say, because of their religion, and they actually created the watch industry in Switzerland. Of course, there were already traditions in Switzerland in jewelry, especially in Geneva, but then the watch industry expanded through the what we call the Arc of Jura, so the western part of Switzerland. And of course, people were poor there, but they were ready to work hard. And of course, the long winters were very favorable for watchmaking, obviously, because everything was still handmade, and you needed a lot of patience and endurance to manufacture these watches. Mr. President, he mentioned Antoni Patek, of course, here in Poland. So he came in the 19th century, and obviously, as we know, this is one of the most prestigious watch brands. So it's another example of an immigrant that contributed to the success of the Swiss watch industry. In the last century, in the 20th century, another name that needs to be mentioned here is Mr. Hayek. One can say he saved the Swiss watch industry because it was in deep crisis in the 1970s and beginning of the 80s because of this technological change, this electronic watch, quartz watch, which was actually invented by the Swiss for once, but it was the Japanese and other Asians which then exploited it commercially, whereas the Swiss thought, no, we will stay with the mechanical watches. And of course, this was a mistake. And Mr. Hayek, he came from Lebanon. And of course, people from Lebanon, as you know, they are very good in trade. And so he was actually not a specialist of watch industry, but he invested his money and his expertise in running enterprises into the at the time biggest Swiss watch company, and saved it. And so today he's Mr. Swatch. And of course, one of the innovations he brought was this concept of a swatch, a watch. That's to say, nobody at the time would have thought that Switzerland, with its high costs, high salaries, would make a cheap watch. No, the tradition is, of course, that we make very, very expensive watches, but he managed to first organize production so that this watch could be, despite high costs, practically produced in an automatic way. And since last year, I think we have also mechanical watch that is fully automatically produced. So that's the one innovation. And the other, of course, was the fashion aspect, that traditionally people wear their watches. They would even pass them on to their children. And still, I think there is some publicity done with luxury brands that you don't own your watch, but you give it on to your children. But of course, the swatch concept was a different one. You wear each and every day a different watch, depending on your clothes. So that, I think, was a major example of innovation. Of course, the major strength of the Swiss watch industry is still in the expensive watches. That's clear, and we are and still stay the leader there. It's interesting to note that Switzerland produces just 2.5% of the world watch production, but in terms of value, the share is 55%. And when you go to the luxury watches, which is normally defined as priced above 1,000 Swiss francs, or that's roughly 4,000 zlotys, then our market share, world market share, is 95%. So that's a very good example of Switzerland industry focusing on high value added. So the success of the Swiss watch industry, of course, has to be earned every day. It's not granted, and competition is always there. You mentioned the smartwatch, and of course there's this question: will the Swiss watch industry survive, so to say, when people, especially also young people, they would all wear smartwatches? It remains to be seen. But you already gave an example of a reaction already by the Swiss manufacturers to this challenge. So the success, I think, is based on two key factors. It's the ability to still capture mass markets and the fashion trends that may change quickly. So you may also be wrong sometimes. And of course, also the second factor is the ability to capture the strongly growing demand for luxury watches worldwide. Of course, we have growing middle classes all over, and that was certainly in the past was a major factor of our watch industry. Now, these two factors, I think, they also play in Poland. One can certainly say that there is still a big potential in Poland for selling more watches, especially Swiss watches, and your club, I think, contributes to this positive development, and I'd like to thank you for your passion, for your interest in this very interesting hobby. And I would just say, carry on. Thanks a lot. And For any questions, I would refer you to Benjamin Schwegli. He's the head of the Swiss Business Hub, and he has worked for Swatch, isn't it? So, in whatever are your needs, he's ready to cooperate with you. And so, I wish you a very nice day and a very nice meeting. Thank you very much for your attention. Thanks so much. I will keep that as a great souvenir of your meeting. Thank you.
America runs on bull of a time.
Beautiful.
Full of Accutron too.